building a fully built Hyundai Veloster turbo engine. So it's a lot to say. It's a G4FJ. That's the engine code. And got a bunch of parts here. If you guys haven't seen the video, we pulled the motor out of the Veloster a couple months back, and now I'm about to build it. Got a bunch of parts in the mail, did a bunch of research, and came up with this build here that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to go over a few small details on how to put it together. This is obviously not an exact how-to, just basically like a nice little video you guys can watch. So hope you guys enjoy it, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so in front of me I have a 1.6 liter turbo Hyundai engine. This is the G4FJ. This comes out of basically a 2012 or 2013 all the way to like a 2025 Hyundai Veloster. I believe they're all the same. Just they change a few things. The rods get a little bigger, pistons get different as the years get newer, and small things, but none of that matters today because right in front of me we have some JE pistons, forged pistons, some Molnar forged rods. We got some king bearings, ARP head studs, and all the goodies to at least make 400 horsepower. From what I'm told, this motor should hold 400 horsepower reliably. I would imagine you could probably push it to 600 horsepower, but what do I know? It is a pretty small engine, so you're gonna have a lot of cylinder pressure in there. So yeah, we got these JE pistons. These come from KDM Tuners. They, from what he told me, he is the guy that designed them and sells them. So here they are. We got, these are the Molnar rods and the OEM Hyundai bearings on the rod bearings. That's what we're using today. All this is this is all standard bearings, standard piston. This is a 77 millimeter piston, original bore. We are using King main bearings right here, and we got some ARP head studs to clamp the head on. So one thing I want to go over, just some clearances that we're going to be using on this engine in case you guys are here to get any info. We have the cylinder walls set up at 3.5 thousandths piston to cylinder wall clearance. That is what they came. I checked them. They are that. I did a light hone. I didn't check it after that, but more than likely they're between 3.5 4 thousandths on the piston to cylinder wall clearance. That'll work for, decent amount of power. If you plan to run a lot of boost through these motors, you can open that up a little bit, and the ring gap, you could open that up a little bit too. The rod bearings and main bearings both spec'd out right around 2 thousandths clearance. So that's what we're going to be running on the rods and the mains today. I already measured them all with the dial bore gauge, and that's pretty much it. So as far as any clearances go, if you got any other questions, just drop them down in the comments and I'll feel free to answer them. But yeah, let's go ahead and start assembling this thing. What I'm going to go ahead and do real quick is I'm going to get these pistons put on the rods, and then I'll get the rings all one thing I haven't done is set the ring gap. So we'll set the ring gap here in a minute, and I'll go over how we're going to do that. But yeah, let me put these rods in the pistons, and then we'll go ahead and start dropping them in the bore. All right, so the first thing we are going to want to do before we put the pistons in is we are going to want to drop the crank in. guys, so we got the pistons put on the rods, and we got the rod bearings put in the rods. So the next thing to do is to set up our piston ring gap, and I have calculated it. If you really don't plan on turning up your boost at all in your car and you just want to have the most efficient engine, you could run 13 thousandths on the top ring gap and add another 4 thousandths for the bottom ring gap, which would put you at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 17 thousandths on the bottom ring gap. We are going to go with a little bit more than that. We're going to go 14 on the top and 18 on the bottom, just to give us a little room for, you know, any type of heat that might be put into the motor or anything like that. So I always like to do a good little spread between the top and bottom ring gap. That helps to prevent any piston ring flutter at high RPMs, helps to control the rings and all that. So that's my recommendation there. We're going to go ahead and start getting this block fitted with the piston rings, and then we're going to go ahead and start measuring them out, and then we'll see if we need to make any adjustments from there. Never seen all four, well, I guess it's what, 12 rings? All 12 rings came in one bag. Normally don't come like that, but interesting. All right, my bad. You're actually gonna have 16, my bad, 20 rings total, because there's another 8 of these little oil rings that go one on each side of these the little squiggly guy, you know. So anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to start measuring the top and bottom ring. We will double check that the oil rings are decent and they're not too tight, but we'll start with these rings right here. This bigger one right here, I believe, is the bottom ring. I'll double check here in a second. And then this little thinner one is going to be a top ring. So we'll go ahead and use a piston, drop it about 1.5 inches down into the bore, and then we'll start checking the clearances on those rings. All right, so the easiest way to tell is to take one of your rings and stick it in one of the ring lands and see if it's tight. You'll notice that if you take the bottom ring and you try to put it in the top ring, it will not fit because it's thicker. And if you put it in the bottom ring where it's supposed to go, it fits perfectly. And then if you take a top ring and you stick it in the top ring groove, it fits nice and tight. And then if you stick it in the bottom ring groove, it's all wobbly. You see that? So that's how you determine right there which ring is which. Because if you look at this guy, this is what it tells you. I mean, I don't know about you, but that could be a little bit confusing if it's your first time. So that's your best bet, to not get confused. I mean, it's actually so simple that you couldn't really do it backwards unless you just put the top ring in the bottom and then you left the bottom ring out. That'd be the only way to do it. All right, we'll start with these top rings. Just go ahead and slide one in there, just like that. Down in there. Grab us a piston. Use the piston, push it down. Just go right about there. Looks good to me. And grab a feeler gauge. So I've got some handy dandy feeler gauges on here, and if you look on here, you'll see one of them is going to say 14 or 0.035 millimeters. Just check that that fits, and it is actually an exact fit on that ring, so we're good to go there. So what we'll do is we'll check this next one. I've been doing this a while, so I know that it was actually amazingly a perfect fit. So go ahead and put it down here. Check that one. That one fits perfectly. Okay. this motor I got here is actually a replacement block that I purchased. It's an aftermarket block, and the machine work on it, I was a little bit hesitant about it, but the machine work on this engine is some of the best machine work I've ever seen in my life. I honestly was kind of, that one's a little bit tight. Let me see if it fits a 13. Yeah, I was pretty surprised on the accuracy with their measurements. I was just, oh yeah, it's a 14, so loose, it's a tight 14, a loose 13. So that's another thing when you're using fuel gauges. I like to do what's called a go no go method, which is basically if you can fit like a 13 but you can't fit a 14, that would mean it's a 13, right? So you have to force the next size up in there. It's obviously not that size. So that one is a perfect 14 also. All right, so we will pull all these out. So now we'll start with the bottom rings, and we'll continue on with the bottom rings. Use that piston, push it down in there. So we're shooting for 18 thousandths on the top ring. I got a feeling it's gonna be too tight because a lot of people don't set the difference that high, but we'll see. Wow, the bottom ring is actually even looser than that. Oh my god, the bottom ring is insanely loose. So we may have to open up the top ring to have a decent running engine. Alright, so the bottom ring on this one, let's see. Alright, so the bottom ring is, yeah, the bottom ring is a, let's see one more time. The bottom ring's a 21, which is looser than I wanted it to be, but again, these are just numbers, so we're talking about thousandths of the inch, so it's not a whole lot, but so let's check this one. Okay, that one is also 21. Suspect they're all gonna be 21 because, well, we got GE pistons and this engine has extremely good machine work, so every cylinder is the exact same size. So I'm gonna assume that, and honestly, let's see, 14 to 21, that's 7 thousandths of an inch, so you could run it here, but I like to shoot for at least a 5. Honestly, what I shoot for is a 5 thousandths difference between the top and bottom ring, but I was just gonna do 4 on this one because the gap was a little bit less on these, so I figured, you know, even number sounded good, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up those top rings to 16 thousandths, and that'll put us at a 5 thousandths difference between the top and bottom ring. So I'm actually, just because it doesn't matter, these are all gonna get recut. Just gonna go ahead and move them over there, move these over here, and then we will double check. So these O-rings normally, they're normally, I've never ever had to change an O-ring, but one thing you don't want to do is make a mistake on an engine that has a lot of money in it, so it just only takes a second to check it. So I believe these are supposed to have at least 15 thousandths clearance. So we'll see where they're sitting at real quick. Oh yeah, they're much more than 15. They're probably like 20 or something, so we're good. Okay, so O-rings are good. Let's go ahead and adjust these top rings, and then when I'm done, we'll go ahead and put the rings on the pistons and put the crank in the block, and then put the pistons on the crank in the block. All right, so I just set all those top rings at 16 thousandths. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and put the crank into the bottom end. That way we can go ahead and put the rings on the pistons, and we'll put the pistons in the block. All right, guys, we got that crank installed. I just wanted to go over two things. One thing is that if you notice, there's two types of bearings on those main bearings. One of them, this is going to be a simple thing, right? But it's important. One of them has a little slit in it, and then one bearing is completely solid. The slit must go down or up onto the top side of the block, because that's where the oil comes through the bearing into the crankshaft. And then the smoother part is the one that goes into the rod caps. If you get that mixed up, you will definitely, your engine will 100% fail. Just wanted to put that out there. Another thing is the torque spec on these main bolts is 15 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees. So it means torque all the bolts to 15 foot-pounds and then do them 90 degrees. Okay, that's the torque spec. Another thing is you should be checking your end play on the crankshaft to make sure that the thrust washers are the proper size. So do not forget to check the end play of the crankshaft, and also do not forget to put the thrust washers in the block. All right, guys, I got the rings on the piston, and I'm going to use this Wiseco piston ring installer. It's a tapered piston ring installer. You just drop the piston through it and it'll compress the rings for you. One thing I just wanted to note, if you guys are building this engine, you should probably know these things, but for the guy that doesn't, you should always put these rings 180 from each other, the ring gap. So every time you put a ring on, always just go 180 from itself. And then on the oil ring, I like to put the little squiggly gap on this side, and then the two smaller ring gaps, one here and then one there, for these smaller rings on the oil ring. And then if you're going to do that top ring gap on there on that oil ring, you'd go this way. Second ring will be the gap right there, and then again 180, and the top ring gap will be right there. If you don't do that, you'll get a lot of blow by and it might even smoke. So never actually done it, so I couldn't tell you what the outcome would be, but just make sure you 180 all the ring gaps. All right, guys, I totally didn't film putting those last two pistons in. I dropped the first one in. It was so easy. I dropped the second one in and then realized I didn't film anything. So also there was like this big giant spider thing came in the shop and it was trying to attack me. And yeah, I got really scared and stepped on it. So that might be part of the reason why I didn't film it either. But anyways, long story short, here's the motor. She is short blocked. I think I have some oil on my camera because it's like, won't stop being, oh, there we go. A little better, I think. Or everything's just so shiny, maybe. But yeah, we got all the pistons put in. and they're all in the same direction, which is amazing because I normally put one in backwards, but it probably didn't put one in backwards this time because I put the, it's a long story, but anyways, if you've seen, I put the one piston on that side, and then I put on this side because I realized I had the rings that I gapped on that cylinder, which I was thinking about using them, but because all the cylinders were the exact same size, but I'm like, better just, you know, while I'm here, better just put it on that cylinder. So that's what I did. So I end up putting the 5 pistons in again. I normally do that every time I build a 4-cylinder engine for some reason. But yep, there she is. Got those forged rods and forged pistons installed in the Hyundai for a G4FJ. So that's pretty much the end of this video. This was just for the bottom end. I hope I didn't disappoint anybody, but if you guys watched this far, appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you could like and comment, subscribe to the channel, something like that. Yeah, this was also Anthony. If you're watching, bro, drop a comment. Let me know you're there. And anybody else too that I just realized that a lot of people, not just realized, but I've been realizing that a lot more people than I thought watch the channel. So that's pretty cool, you know. Appreciate everybody checking out the builds and watching, helping support the channel. So yeah, this was a fun little engine. I really liked building it. It was pretty straightforward process. The guys over there at KDM Tuners, they really made the whole process pretty much flawless and seamless. All the clearances came out perfectly. Everything, all the parts fit great. No issues at all. So far right now, the car's not running yet, but I don't think we're gonna have any issues from here on out. But yeah, so that is the G4FJ Hyundai build. And get one more last look at the pistons and all that for anybody who wants to see it. Oh yeah, she's a pretty girl.